tell it, for thousands of years, the people on this island lived in fear. It's a hell of a long time to be scared. And then one day, the damnedest thing happened. Some of the things they were afraid of started protecting them against the things that were eating them. But nothing lasts forever, I guess. And this is where they honor the last of their saviors. Yeah, that's Kong. He's king around here. He's God to these people. Kong's a pretty good king. Keeps to himself mostly. This is his home. We're just guests here. Well, you don't go into someone's house and start dropping bombs unless you're picking a fight.
Wasn't Kong the one who killed your friend?
No. One of them did. Kong's God on the island. But the devils live below us.
And what are they called?
The Iwis won't speak their name, but I call them skull crawlers.
How's everybody doing today? This is Phil, the Kaiju King, from my collection room here. And I'm going to do a review or a very close in focus look at a custom sculpt I got from Mark Sing Yang. It is the basically like the huge Prime 1 here, but smaller. It's a 30 centimeter scale. It's a Kong fighting Ramarak in a battle pose very similar to that. And it's a pretty awesome little sculpt, and I hope you all enjoy my review, and I will bring him forth right now. And here he be. This is Kong versus the Skullcrawler, aka Ramarak, the big one. The big one, they say in the movie, that's the big one. This is from the epic final scene, of course, the climax of the film Kong Skull Island. And this, like I said, is a 30 centimeter in scale, and it is on a base, which makes all the sense in the world because I don't know how stable this thing would be unless it was attached to a base. So I'm very glad Mark did put it on a base. Like I said, this is from the final scene, the climax, when Kong fights the big one, aka Ramarak, in the film, and defeats him. But Ramarak does give him some blows and gives him a bit of a fight. But Kong, in the end, showed why he is King Kong, in my opinion. As far as this sculpt goes, start off, it is on a round base, probably about 8 inches in around. As far as the details on it are really nice. It's got some nice rock texturing and some ground, some brown areas for the ground and green for grassy areas, and some nice bushing and bushes and stuff here in the front of his feet. And on the back here, of course, behind him, there's 2 different rock formations and some nice bush effects in between the rocks, and the sand and the dirt and the grass. All that just signifies just them battling there on the ground. But it's really nicely done as far as the details Mark put into the base. It's a wooden base, pretty nice though, but the way he decorated it all up, it is nicely done. As far as the figure itself, the sculpt itself, Kong's feet are nicely done. Both feet are really nicely done. His fur is nice brown color all over his body. Mark does a very good job with sculpting fur on these things, on the legs, the front and back. Big, thick, muscular looking legs, which is what you would expect from this Kong, because he was a very muscular looking Kong in the film. But very nicely done fur details on the legs. Very nice fur detail on the back. The back is very muscularly detailed. But Mark does a really good job on fur sculpting on these things, I think. His arms are very muscular and physical looking, which is perfect for that, from that movie. Very nicely done. Everything on it is just really, really good. On his chest, he has the signature 3 scars running down, catty-cornered on his chest, which he had in the film, and I'm sure that was from a battle with a skull crawler. And of course, he has some muscular definition in his abs, and his chest is bare, of course. No hair on his chest. So it's a lighter brown compared to the rest of his body, and his face and his hands are the lighter brown. But he's really nicely done. Like I said, he has, to me, a lot of significant muscle definition, especially in his back and in his chest and his abs. You can see muscle definition. It's really nicely done by Mark. And his face, of course, he's looking intently right at the skull crawler. He's got a big wide nose, big eyebrow ridge, signature of Kong. His teeth are inside his mouth. You can see his tongue as well. Big fangs on top and bottom. It's pretty nicely done sculpt. Hair, of course, all on his head, and he's got nice ear definition on him as well. But he's intently looking at the skull crawler in this pose here. But Kong is really nicely done, especially the fur. I think the fur and his muscle definition are my favorite parts of this Kong and on this sculpt, because it's really very well done. As far as the skull crawler, of course, his tail is wrapped around Kong down here at the bottom of the end of his tail on his right leg, and you can see then spiky knob. It's on the end of his tail that he uses to whip and hit Kong with in the film. That is there, and then the tail wraps around his right leg, then goes up, and then it wraps around the back of his midsection, and then it gets bigger and toward his body here. Of course, here's his left leg with the signature spike at the elbow sticking out. That is only Ramarak had that in the film. I'm almost positive of that. He's the only one that actually had the big spike sticking out at his elbows. It's on both elbows. You can see them protruding out. He has nice skin texture and definition on his inner body here, and on his back, especially the bony part. The lighter colored effects of his bony exterior, and on his arms as well, the lighter bony effects on either leg or arm, whichever you want to call it. But it's really nicely done right there. These were a really bony looking creature. Of course, its head is mostly just a skull. That's why they call him a skull crawler. But the head is nicely done, definition, nice paint. I like the paint, how he applied the paint to it. It's got the darker gray on the body parts, the lighter brownish, grayish colors on the bony exterior parts, and his head is pretty much pure skull, which is what their heads are, is just pure skull. It's just flat gray. But the cool thing about this, I asked him to do on the back shoulder and arm of Kong, I asked Mark to have the skull crawler scratching him and drawing blood. So right here you will see 4 scratches from his claws where he's clawing and fighting and grabbing on Kong. And I wanted that on the sculpt, kind of like a stylized deal to it, but it looks pretty cool in the end. Give it some character, I think. But it's a really nicely done sculpt, and it's from the epic scene and climax of the film. And it's, like I said, 30 centimeter scale. And I love this thing. I got it last year from him. I've had it at least a year, right around a year, I'd say. But it's really nicely done piece. One of my quite a few Kong Skull Island pieces from him. I've got this, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 6 custom pieces in my collection from Mark that are from the 2017 film, and then I've got at least one more. I think just one more coming, and that's Kong when he kills Ramarak at the end, when he rips his guts out. That's the other one I have, but that's larger scale than this. It's like closer to a gigantic size, I believe. We agreed on a bigger scale, so he'll probably be like 15, inches tall or something. Like I said, this one's right around 12, so. But this is really cool, really nicely done. Like I said, I really do enjoy the hair sculpting and muscle definition on Kong. And then the paint application and coloring on the skull crawler. Of course, in the skull crawler's mouth is really nicely done. Teeth all jagged and crazy like the skull crawler was. Its tongue is multi-forked like it was in the film. So he did a really good job on this piece. I will do some quick size comparisons with this thing, and we'll get on to the first size comparison right now. Alright everybody, I'm back. I brought forth the X Plus Favorite Sculptors Line Godzilla 1962 here with my custom Kong Battling Ramarak sculpt, just for some scale to the see his scale. He's very close to what I said, the 30 centimeter line. Of course, this FSL Godzilla is a tad smaller than some of the 30 centimeter figures. He's more the size of a Sakai, I'd say, really, kind of right around there. But this is, of course, the only Godzilla that's fought Kong to date. But that'll change next year, of course. Can't wait for that film, but it'll be nice to see that. But had to bring forth the Godzilla that has fought Kong. Alright, let's do another quick size comparison right away. Here we have the Godzilla 2014 Bluefin Roaring version X Plus 30 centimeter figure. I think this Kong would scale real good with this Godzilla, especially if you take him off the base, which is at least ½ an inch thick. That would make him that much shorter. But it looks pretty good though. Next year we'll get this, and I can't wait to see it. But this is a pretty tall 30 centimeter figure too in the line. I'd say one of the taller ones, especially the Godzillas. They look pretty good together. Alright, let's do another size comparison right away. Alright, I brought forth my Star Ace X Plus 30 centimeter Kong Skull Island from the same film. Pardon me. From the same movie. This is the deluxe that came with the base and the helicopter. The mangled, destroyed helicopter. Looking pretty good together though, I must say. Definitely favor each other in a lot of ways. Mark did a good job. X Plus did an extremely good job on this. So glad they did this figure. I just want them to do more Kong figures. The more the better for me. Alright, we'll go to one last size comparison, and it's one of my custom Kongs, and we'll do that right now. Alrighty, for my last size comparison, I have my 30 centimeter King Kong 1976 custom from Mark Sang Yang, alongside my combo sculpt of Kong versus Ramarak. He does a good job with scaling them up to the 30 centimeter line, or I know he'll do any scale you want really, but I've known he's done 25 centimeter sculpts too, so he can scale them really well with either line of X Plus, whatever you want really. Does a good job. These look pretty neat together, I would say. Alrighty, we'll go to some quick closing comments, and we'll do that right now. I'm back, everybody. Closing comments on this sculpt. It was a no-brainer sculpt I wanted from the film. It was the epic scene at the end. It's when I thought of the movie, when I think of these movies and I get these customs, I think of a scene that I would like to have done into a sculpt, and this was the automatic go-to from the film. I did do that stylization, like I said, on the back shoulder here, or shoulder arm of Kong with the Ramarak scratching him, and there is blood there, which I just wanted that for a little bit of fun with it. So it looks pretty cool though in the end, I think. But this was an epic movie, an epic scene in the movie, and I'm glad I decided to do this sculpt. It really is pretty cool. And of course the Prime 1 right back here, it is this in super extra large, I would say, but it's a really good statue, and I have a review on my channel for that as well. So but it's a really good piece from Prime 1. But this was really good work from Mark. The detail on it's cool, how he wraps the Skullcrawler's body around his tail around Kong and everything. Did a really good job on it. I do love Kong's muscle definition, and everything, and the details on him is really crisp, along with the Skullcrawler. But I would highly recommend, if you're thinking of something from a movie, especially a combination, because I've got several combinations coming still from Mark that I already have commissioned. He does them. He hasn't turned me down yet. So if you think of something from a film, he can usually accommodate it, and he does a really good job, as you can see with this right here. All right, I'll bring the camera closer for a close-up of this guy, and I want to thank everybody for watching and tuning in. And this is Phil, the Kaiju King, from my collection room in Greater Cincinnati, and I would like to wish you all a nice day, and I will see you again soon.